Well, welcome. We've got Raj here, who's one of our academics here at Auckland University Technology, and he's been working on a CMALT portfolio. So today we're just going to ask him a few questions about that process and where he's at, and maybe get some tips for people thinking about starting that journey of doing CMALT. So Raj, tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for having me here. And I think my background is I'm a clinical audiologist by training, and few years back I was purely focused on research and clinical work, and then accidentally I got a teaching position, which sort of motivated me to think more seriously about teaching and learning. And after doing that for a few years, I got really passionate about teaching and learning, and I think technology is always something which has sort of interested me, and I have knowingly or unknowingly, based on the needs and necessity of the situation which came in front of me in terms of teaching and learning, I end up using technology to solve some of those things. And I think that has motivated me to do things like HUDSA Fellowship. I'm also working on HEA Senior Fellowship. I did PG Cert in Academic Practice. And interestingly, CMALT is something which for the very first time I heard about it, it was in mid-2018, and that was from you, Tom.
Right, and I guess, particularly for people watching this for the first time, CMALT stands for the Certified Member of the Association for Learning Technology, and so it's a teaching accreditation framework, but it's focused quite specifically on learning technologies as such.
Yes.
So what's your favourite colour, Raj?
Well, I've got two daughters. One of them likes yellow, another one likes pink. So it's a very difficult question. I can't choose one, unfortunately. So it has to be a combination of yellow and pink.
Right. So we just had to throw that out there. And anyway, so why CMALT? Why are you interested in doing CMALT?
I think CMALT is because it's focused on learning technology. It's a good interplay between how you're using technology as an academic or as an academic developer, how you're using technology to facilitate and create more meaningful learning spaces for your learners. And because I have always used technology in different forms, I thought it would be more relevant for me to reflect a little bit more about it, and that's why I thought I should probably seriously think about CMALT. Yeah.
Okay. So what stage are you at?
Yes. So I completed my portfolio and I submitted it in December 2018, and early this year I got my feedback from the assessors, and it was very encouraging, and I absolutely liked the feedback and the way it was offered to me in a structured manner. I have worked through that feedback and I have responded to most of those things which were highlighted in that feedback, and now, fingers crossed, I'm waiting to hear for the outcome. Now that may happen anytime now.
Awesome. Okay, and as far as your e-portfolio goes, tell us a little bit about the experience of creating an e-portfolio.
Yes, now I would like to confess here that when I first thought that I have a choice between either using paper-based regular kind of portfolio or e-portfolio, I thought just for the comfort and ease of it, I should just use Word file and just not type out everything and use that. But then because I was slightly nervous, because I've never used an e-portfolio based things before in my career, and when Tom, you introduced me to WordPress, I thought, okay, there's no harm in just trying it out and playing with it, and I started doing that. And before I knew, I loved it, and I got so used to it. And then I started doing different things with it, playing with the color scheme, embedding the videos, embedding the comments. There's so much more you could do with WordPress, and I got just really fascinated with it. And now if I have to kind of do something else in future and I have a choice between doing an e-portfolio and a regular portfolio, you guys know what my answer is going to be, right? I'm going to be always using e-portfolio, I think, now. There's no going back.
Cool. So I guess one of the things we try to encourage as part of the CMALT process is people to develop an open educational practice.
Yes.
And so we try to support the development of people creating CMALT portfolios through a few tools. So we have a Google Plus community, which we're replacing with a Moodle forum because Google Plus is going away. We run a weekly webinar.
Yes.
And of course you have your own portfolio, and we also use Twitter, mainly so we can engage with an international audience. So tell us a little bit about your experience of using those sort of social media tools.
Yes. Now, I think I would definitely like to comment on those weekly webinars. I personally think that they were really, really helpful, Tom. Before even I started my position at AUT as an academic developer, senior lecturer, I was first introduced to those webinars, and instantly I felt part of the community, and it was so nice to be so comfortable and interacting with different academics and people who are at different stages of the interesting work they're doing. And that was a very good starting point for me to ease into this process. And secondly, I think using social media, I started using especially Twitter a lot more recently, and I use it predominantly to talk about the work which I personally do in the space of teaching and learning, and my collaborations and some of the colleagues who are working in that sphere as well. And I think it's quite helpful. And interestingly, the funny thing is, when I was first introduced to Twitter, I thought that, what are you going to do with those limited character? But interestingly, through Twitter, I got in touch with so many academics in UK who are working on their CMALT and doing some amazing work in the sphere of higher education, teaching and learning. And one thing led to another. I'm already Skyping with them now, and there are some plans in place. The next time I'm going to be visiting Europe, I'll be catching up with some of them personally as well. So I think there's so many benefits, not only specifically with respect to CMALT per se, in general in the sphere of academia. I think academics shouldn't shy away from using some of these tools, I would say.
Yeah, and I guess that's part of the goal, is that it's not just about CMALT accreditation, but it's really about developing an international network of education professionals right around the world. So what about some tips for other people who are just starting the CMALT process, Raj?
I think if I reflect back on my own journey, I think the first step would be you have to start. At some point you have to take this decision that, I'm going to try it. So once that is the most important part. Once you get started, and another thing is, don't hesitate to seek support. There are so many amazing people around, not only in AUT and in New Zealand, but I'm sure in Australia and global. It's a global community, and you'll be surprised to see that there are so many people willing to actually help out. So don't hesitate to seek out for help if you need it. And then the third thing is, have an open mind about trying and experimenting with things and being open to things, even if you think that some of those things are potentially challenging or they make you uncomfortable. I very strongly believe that until and unless we put ourselves in that position of being uncomfortable or being challenged, we won't be going any further in terms of new learning. So learning actually happens when we are challenging ourselves, when we are putting ourselves in that uncomfortable space. So yes, people think that, oh, I have a full-fledged job, I have so many things happening on my plate, why bother to do an accreditation thing or a portfolio like CMALT? The answer to that would be because it gives you a wonderful opportunity to reflect on your existing work, And one aspect which I absolutely loved about CMALT portfolio is the fact that you have to offer evidence for everything you state or everything you've done. So by the end of working on your portfolio, you have this beautiful portfolio with so much of evidence which you could use it for your, say, promotion or teaching awards, or if you're applying for new jobs. So there are multiple benefits there, I think.
Great. Well, it's been great talking with you, Raj, and hopefully that CMALT accreditation comes through soon for you.
Fingers crossed,
and anyone else who's thinking about doing CMALT, we'd love to have you on board with our CMALT Scene-book. If you just look for the hashtag #CMALT Scene-book on social media, you'll find us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you. And good luck.